All right, how you doing,
What's
Clifton?
going
I'm
on,
Dale
brother?
with Value World Media.
What part of the country are you in?
I am in Florida, New York and Florida, back and forth.
Okay, cool beans. Cool beans. Good to see you.
All right, man, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just busting it out, promoting the
Yeah.
show. It's a great show. I'm glad to be a part of it. So it's fun.
All right, yeah, man. You got an extensive body of work, man. Like just legendary. So I just want to have a great conversation with you, man. What drew you to BMF?
Well, I work with 50 on Don't Self Destruct, and he knows my work, and I think some of the writers and producers, and of course my man Meech and Da Vinci. Hopefully, they were pulling for me as long as because we all know each other. So it's and the producers, good producers do their work and know who's out there and they know the range of my work. So it's just an honor for me, man. I don't take any of this for granted on any level. I just try to come and be good to work with and try to be prepared.
Yeah, man, and how prepared you are. We know the show has its roots in real life events and stuff.
Mhm.
Like you said, I know you are a fan of the show or at least watched the show, but were you familiar with the real life situation before you got into the show?
Yeah, somewhat. I live in Atlanta and
Hmm.
I go back and forth between here and LA and Detroit. Of course, I knew about BMF in Detroit and how they migrated to Atlanta and around the country. And I was, back in the day, I traveled with no security and I was in the clubs having fun with my lady friends and my
Right.
partners. And, the thing about the way I was raised, man, I don't, you know, I read a lot of gangster stuff. Like, when I did Dead Presidents, I read
Yes.
about the mob. I'm a great fan of the Godfather. So, a lot of the street cats really see me out and they always give me love, man. So I try to stay out of the way and stay respectful. I'm a squeaky clean kind of guy. I've never been in trouble, never been arrested. I've been set up a couple of times, but it doesn't stick because I don't get in trouble. So that's not my world, but I respect how people do their thing, whether I agree with it or not. So the way I see this show is it's amazing that these guys were able to turn it into a series and turn lives around and turn their lives around. That's I tell people sometimes when I go into prisons and high schools, especially my ex-wife's brother was a Muslim minister, and I
Okay.
went into one of the high, falutin prisons up in New York, upstate New York, really, you know, locked down, maximum security lockdown, and had lecture. And I tell them guys, I'm one as an entertainer in the spotlight, one incident from being right where you are right here. It's not where
Absolutely.
you are in your life, it's what you take away from if you get a chance to do your time and get out, it's how you turn your life around. So I've had a lot of challenges in my life, growing up without my mom and having a dad who had substance abuse issues. But I had great people around me and they kept me straight. So I can't imagine being in the streets, going in, and I got all types of people I've met and all types of people in my life. I can't imagine going inside for 5 to 10 years and coming out and have to separate myself from the environment that got me there and turning my life around. That's the real challenge. Me, I had a tough childhood, but I overcame it because I had great people. But I kept myself on the straight and narrow. That's easier than going in, doing 10,
Right.
15 years, coming out, changing your life, or not getting caught up coming out of the hood like I did and some of the things that you can get caught up in. So I never really point fingers at anybody, man, because all of it is challenging.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That was great. Great stuff. Man, it's hard to follow that right now, man. That was powerful, powerful stuff right there.
Yeah, well, we talk about crazy Pastor Coleman a little bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never,
Well, all
I,
right,
ne-
we'll get into a little
I've
bit
never
of.
played quite a character as flamboyant as this guy. It's kind of interesting.
Well, you played roles similar. I mean, man of the church. You played different roles like in gospel and things like that. So, what makes Pastor Coleman different from other times that you did things like this?
Well, Dr. King, I played Dr. King in a movie on a TV movie called Selma, Lord Selma. I did a pastor in the gospel. I played a pastor in Black Lightning. This guy is just a little different. He's very charming. He's very flamboyant. He's more on that Reverend Ike side of pastoring, and
Mhm.
he's capitalistic. He has sells his books in the lobby. He has an ATM machine in the lobby. He's throwing money all over the church. And he believes that, be fruitful and multiply. And I've never really quite played a character so over the top as a pastor. Pinky's pretty much over the top, but Pastor
Yeah.
Coleman is right in that genre, I would say.
He's right there on the line.
He right on the line with Pinky. In terms of his flamboyance, he's very
Yeah.
flamboyant, and he's not doesn't make any mistake and any excuses for wanting more money in the church. It's the way he
Right.
is.
So given that description of Pastor Coleman, what would you say he thinks of himself as? Does he think of himself as a villain, a hero, a realist? What would you say in his head? How does he work that out?
Well, I did one episode, and my episode comes on June 20th. So what I try to tell people when I told the other interviewers, when you take a character that's wild and crazy, you start because let's just say this character catches on and the show comes back for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons. Season 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll get a chance to see different parts of Pastor Coleman. So you start him kind of like in the miry clay, and then you
Mhm.
build him. If you start him righteous and no flaws, there's nowhere for his character to go. So for me as an actor, when I get the script, I say, okay, this is one episode. If they call me back next year, they may even ask me for my input and say, hey, how do you think Pastor has grown from year to year? And I'd say, well, maybe he's less flamboyant, maybe dresses a little different, maybe is not as capitalistic as he was in season, 3, but now we're in season 5, and now he's doing more work in a community. So, but if you start that character already with no flaws and righteous, there's nowhere for him to go. It's like life. We all have been through our challenges, but we grow through them. Some people grow and stay in the same place. Some people apologize and go back to the people they might have hurt and say, hey, I was drinking back then, or I might have smoked a little weed or something, but I'm turning my life around. That's what makes good television. And
Right.
if you look at the BMF family, Meech is out now, Big Meech is out. And I'm so sure he's not going back. He's turning his life around. When you grow up in the inner city like I did, it's a lot of stuff all around you. And what I try to remind people is what, and I don't want to get too political here, but
Man, go ahead.
it
Let's
was
do
all
it.
orchestrated by this government. There was a
Mhm.
there was a program in the 40s that they paid to get black fathers out of the homes. So we can't talk about how this new generation is wild and crazy. We got to talk about the program that got black fathers out of the homes. When you take the black father out of a home, you take away the order.
Right.
Mothers, 90, I don't know the exact statistic, but 93% of households, I think I read somewhere, are led by black mothers. Where are the fathers? They took the fathers out of the homes.
Right.
That was done, it was orchestrated by this government. And if you think I'm lying, do your research. Also, the way we came into inception in this country, the families were broken up from slavery to now. So some of our, elders have grown up in dysfunction. I know I grew up in dysfunction. So, I'm 69. I just learned, I've been with the young lady I date, I've been with her 10 years. I've just learned how to love, man. I grew up in the hood. I saw a lot of violence. I saw a lot of dysfunction, but we have to look at why. I always tell people to look at the why. Why? Well, we came over, our ancestors came here slaves,
Right.
families torn apart. That's why this whole ICE thing is going on. He's not just going after criminals, he's just tearing families apart who've been here legally. These are their kids. You tear a family apart and take the father out, and the mother and father are fighting, there's no order, So I think with the Flannery family, you can see this is based on a real story, a real family who took some turns in the streets, got caught up in a lot of stuff, but now we're doing their television series,
Mhm.
turn their lives around. That's a blessing. And if you can do that, that's a miracle.
Right.
So we're
And
watching their journey on television, and now they're all millionaires. So did they win or did they lose? I think they're winning. So it's an honor. 50 started in the streets, man. So Look at 50, man. I work with 50. 50 is an incredible businessman.
He's from my
And
hometown,
yeah,
Queens.
Queens. I
Yeah,
live right on 171st and Hillside, and Supreme and all those guys,
really?
man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm from Hollis Avenue, man.
Yeah. I'm right across the street from the high school right there. Can't remember the name
Right
of it.
there. Oh
Jamaica High.
yeah.
It is. So
Oh yeah.
what I try to say, because people come to me all the time, say, Mr. Powell, you do so well. You're not in trouble. You're not this. I've had a lot of challenges in my life, but I made a decision early on. I like my freedom too much, so I don't do any illegal nothing. Like I had illegal cable. I went and took that back to the cable people, gave them some money. I got nervous. I was like, they're gonna lock me up. I was poor, man. My man said, "Yo, I got cable." I'm like, okay. And then I went to the cable company to pay my bill. The lady said, something kind of fishy here. I'll be right back. She went in the back. Man, I got nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna find
Oh
out
yeah.
illegal cable. But I've always been squeaky clean because I was raised by some my dad was dysfunctional, but I had uncles and cousins. I had good teachers, coaches. So it's just a matter and it's not just black folks. Man, I used to be a counselor in the youth programs. It's a lot of crazy white kids too, drugs. And so all of it is about if you fall down, don't stay down. You get up. And that's what I love about this show. I mean, they show us what they went through, but where are they now?
Right.
We're watching that show on television.
Yep.
It's,
The world
it's
is there to
amazing.
see him.
Yeah. So with Pastor Coleman, we may see him over the top, flamboyant in episode 3 that I'm in. June 20th is coming up, the 3rd episode. But if this show comes season 4 and 5 and 6,
Five.
we
Mhm.
may see Pastor Coleman in counseling with the bishop, saying, "Hey, man, you got to bring it down some. Even though I know you're a good pastor and you're a good man, it's coming across. We don't know." That's the beauty of television series as opposed to a movie. You get to develop
Right.
a character and we see the arc. So I would believe that the writers, if I come back or if another guy comes back to play Pastor Coleman, what is his arc going to be? Will we end in season 7? Where will he be? He might be a mega church pastor who's turned some of his life around. So that's what's interesting about it.
Yep. I know we got a little bit of time constraints here. I could talk
It's
to you
all good.
for
It's all
hours. I'm
good.
sure you got so much information and
That's
knowledge
why
to
my
give.
head is so big, man. You see how fat my head is? I got a lot of information inside my head. No, it's all just, we gotta understand, man. I grew up in a tough part of DC. You grew up in Queens out there with a lot of stuff going on.
Hmm.
We can't point fingers at anybody. Nobody can judge anybody how they make their money. The game it's a tough game. The key to winning the game is getting in if that's what you have to do and get out and turn your
Right.
life around. And I think I love this show because we see a lot of different angles. The mother fighting against her losing her babies and her sons.
Absolutely.
It's so much wonderful, so many different colors. That's why this show is the number one show, one of the number one shows on television because it's not sugarcoating anything and it's real. So I'm honored to be a part of it. Pastor Coleman is a little over the top. He's definitely a capitalist, but we don't know where he's going to grow in season 4 and 5 and 6. It may calm
Right.
down a little, or he may be even more, out of bounds, and he may get put out of the church. We're seeing protests all over the country.
Hmm.
If it keeps up, Donald Trump won't be president because he'll be impeached. The people have the power. So it's real deep. So television is, the arts is just a mirror of what's going on in society. And I think the Flannery family is a family that was flawed, but they turned their lives around, man. That's the beauty of this show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hopefully, we'll get to talk again sometime soon.
Yes,
We can
sir.
get
Yes,
through a
sir.
whole lot more things. I appreciate your time. I know you
It's all
got a
good.
lot of things to do.
Everybody out there, tune into this wonderful show. I'm going to be on episode 3 on June 20th. Pastor Coleman is a fun, funny, crazy kind of guy. I can't wait to see it myself. So it's going to be really exciting. Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Good to
Appreciate you,
talk
man.
to you.
Love.
Much love, baby.